Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
We've got on the line Daryl Bissett, who's bored but to an inch of his life listening to us talk about songs.
We've had legends on in the music world this morning, but this man definitely is a local sport. And when I say sport, I mean both footy and cricket in this region. Dominated for many years, made many great friends, and is certainly a GDFL legend. And we're happy to have him on. Bissett, good morning to you.
Hi Rob, how are you going?
Excellent. Thanks for giving up your time again. We've been trying for a little while to get you. You haven't been in the best of health, but we've got you today, and that's fantastic news. We're inspired by the old videos of the GDFL that Noel Fanning's been popping up onto the website, and I've flicked through a few and seen you in your heyday at Anarchy, and you obviously had great memories of your GDFL time, and particularly the wonderful footy club that is Anarchy. Tell us, you've played at a few. Why is Anarchy so unique?
Oh, I think, look, when I first went out to Anarchy, a couple of mates had come out and play there, and I had no idea where Anarchy was, and so I went out training with them, and look, they're out in the sort of middle of nowhere. When I first started, they had a fair bit of population there, and a few blokes played there, but look, it's in the middle of nowhere, and they're just a great people that led the club. They had fantastic presidents and committee and fantastic supporters who are still around the club now, so I think that's what made it a bit unique.
And the fact that it was the whole community. The footy club was the hub of everything, wasn't it? Both Thursday nights and the weekends, it seemed that everyone came to support the club. And I suppose when someone like you, who moves into the district and doesn't know anyone, I guess you're easily embroiled in all that.
Yeah, it was. Look, and it was a community. It was a small community. Look, they used to have teas there Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, and Thursday night was a card night. We had to send the players home fairly early Thursday nights, otherwise they'd be there still there till Saturday. So, and they mingled in all the players we got a lot from Corio and Lara and Norlane and that, and they mingled with the Anarchy people very well.
Now, I want to touch on, we've been talking about greats of the of VFL footy, and your father, wee Georgie Bissett, one of the real characters, but great players, runner-up in a Brownlow medal, so the man could obviously play a bit. Have you got much of a memory of his career, or were you a little bit young?
Oh, possibly a little bit young, Rob. I used to just go to the footy all the time with Mum, sort of thing, but look, just what you see on telly a little bit, and the memory of people telling you all that obviously he could play. He was just, look, he went to Bulldogs at a young age, and in 1969 with the Brownlow, just a quick story that he the day that he got reported, he ended up getting reprimanded, which means you could get votes these days, but in them days you weren't allowed to. And he whacked the bloke, and
allegedly
they kicked 6 goals, and he got 3 votes off everybody else, but he was ineligible for the Brownlow and lost it by 1 to Kevin Murray.
Daryl, it's Neil Butler here, Kevin Murray's greatest fan, so I remember that call very clearly. And by the way, folks, Rob introduced him as Bisso. We probably should give him his correct title as Daryl Bissett. We have people listening outside of Geelong.
That's true.
We've got a worldwide audience.
Yeah, Daryl Bissett, son of George.
I remember that count very, very clearly, and in fact it was the first year that allegedly the AFL, VFL as they were in those days, stacked the votes so that the winner would come out at the last call. So in fact, with the second last vote yet to be counted, George and also Barry Davis were equal in the lead. So it was right down to the last minute.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it was actually. Barry Davis, I think, got third, but yeah, Dad got beat by a vote. And I remember being at home as a young kid sort of thing, because they never had any Brownlow. You never went to the Brownlow in them days. Yeah,
it was the last year it was only done on the radio. 1970, Peter Bedford won it on the TV. So it was the last radio one on 3DB. It was the count.
Now, Daryl, right. Explain something to me. You are a supporter of the Melbourne Football Club, despite the fact that your father was a Footscray Football Club legend. But tell me, what was it like when he went to play at Collingwood?
Yeah, look, he went under the 10-year rule there. He had, when I say a lot of success, he won a couple of goal-kicking awards and obviously the run-up in the Brownlow, and I think he won 3 best and fairest. And it got to the 10-year rule where he was allowed to go, and he hadn't played finals at that stage. So Collingwood come along, and he signed up with them, and fortunate enough for him, in the first year, he played some finals with them. In the second year, he played 2 years at Collingwood. And look, being a Western Suburbs family, it wasn't too appreciated sort of thing. But look, he gave Bulldogs good service for 10 years, so he was allowed to go to Collingwood on good terms.
So with a name like yours, it's not a common surname. Was there a bit of pressure on you when you started playing footy to be as good as your dad?
Look, I was probably just too young to understand that days. I ended up playing soccer when I was 10 years old for 6 years sort of thing, because I was going to a school which was very multicultural, and I met up with a few Maltese mates, and they looked after me like a king. They were fantastic. So I sort of just tried to enjoy my sport. There was sport everywhere as a kid, like you played on the streets in the schools and things like that. So really see that name, apart from like playing some games as I got to 16, 17, and blokes trying to whack you because probably dad whacked their dads.
And their granddad whacked your granddad.
Yeah. So I was copping a little bit there, but anyway, that's your take that.
And your dad come across the bay to play at Port Arlington. I remember those days well. I was playing at Winch at the time. So you would have been, in your early teens in those days? Did you come across and watch him then?
Yeah, Dad went down to Port for 3 years. I come down his last year and played with him when I was 17. So, we had a holiday shack down at Port, and that sort of got to meet some of the locals, and that's how he got the job down there. He had 3 fantastic years there. And
you kicked off there. The other taste of the Bellarine, of course, was playing in a premiership side under a very, very good friend of mine, and another one of the much-loved Geelong characters in Larry Donohue. He speaks extremely highly of your contribution to that Newcombe team. Were that good memories as well?
Oh, look, 1988 was fantastic. I left Anarchy, and I was living in Newcombe, and a few of the boys, we used to catch up, and they said, what about coming over? And I thought, oh, yeah, why not? And Larry was playing at that stage, and he was just about to give it away, and so I jumped in with, look, they had a fairly good side at that stage. They were runner-up the year before to Torquay. And look, without Larry coaching that year, we wouldn't have won that. He was just very professional in his training and his methods. He'd be ringing you up all hours of the night, and he wasn't happy with your game and things like that. But he was tremendous that year. He virtually won it for us as a coach.
Now, Bissett, I've got to be very careful here not to be rude and disrespectful, but most of your career you played at less than an athletic figure, but you had a really strong presence around the ball. Your preparation, do you look back on it and think maybe I could have worked a bit harder, or were you just happy that that's the way your body was and you worked around it?
Oh, look, I totally agree with you there. I think...
you should see the look on his face at the moment, Daryl. He's been apprehensive asking that. He had it written down in front of him.
No, all good. Look, I wish I had been coached more than coaching people. I think when you coach, you sort of, you're a bit more busier than being able to do laps. I don't think I ever run one full lap around Anarchy there at any stage sort of thing when I was coaching. But, yeah, I would have liked to have been coached a lot more. I think I probably would have got a little bit better out of myself. But, look, I enjoyed coaching. I always carried a little bit of weight, but... that's why I never got injured a lot, because I was just too fat, I suppose. And I loved my ice cream and cakes and all that and beer in them days, so I didn't want to miss out on that.
But you were a great player. Everyone who played with and against you mentioned that. Did you just develop a game style to suit the body shape and athleticism that you possessed, or were you probably a bit lucky that you had fitness as well as being able to carry that weight?
Look, I sort of, it's funny you say it, I did design my game around staying a kick behind play. Look, I couldn't keep up with a hell of a lot of it, but I just sort of plodded along, and I tried to read the play a little bit, which side the ball was going, and I'd sort of cut across the ground and get that way. But playing that loose bloke in the back line sort of helped me a fair bit in my career. And
then, of course, being a key forward, the strength and extra power you had with that extra weight was obviously worked to your advantage.
Yeah, well, you weren't playing on, like a lot in my day were all 6-footers sort of thing, so you're playing on blokes your own height. Like now they're 6'6" playing full-back sort of thing, so I would have struggled there. But yeah, you're playing on blokes you matched up fairly well in them days, and the weight did help me a fair bit.
So if you look at the situation you just described, being the kick behind the play, you look at some of the great coaches at AFL level, VFL level, who have been halfback flankers, back pocket players. You look at the Scott brothers. You look at you could name Tommy Hayfie, these guys. How much playing behind the play like that and watching it unfold, do you reckon has supported your coaching career?
Oh, most definitely. Look, it just, a lot of sides, if you can get some possession on the half-back line. We used to play virtually 2 centre half-backs If you're playing against good centre forward, one of us would be able to pick him up sort of thing, and that meant the other bloke was loose sort of thing. And you can read the play a lot more when the ball's in front of you, and that's what I liked when it was in front of me sort of thing. And, you look at a lot of footballers these days, it's all possession in the back line, and then they just look for that little hole in the forward line and go bang and kick it long to their full forward.
Now, many suggested, had you taken a bit more of a notice of your personal fitness, you could have been a lot better player and possibly even played at the level that your dad did. But around Geelong in that period of time, and particularly the GDFL days, a lot of great players came through and you would have seen and played with a few. Who were some of the real greats you remember through your Ballerine and Geelong and District times?
Oh, look, early Ballerine, I think Johnny Fagan was very good at Newcombe. I think he did have a run down Geelong, was a little bit too small. But look, it's the same old story. There's a hell of a lot of players that could have made it. One stands ahead was Jason Festusha from Werribee Centrals. He was just class. I think he won a couple of league best and fairest. I don't know what his attitude was like. I think it was a bit like mine, just casual and just enjoyed playing with his mates over a weekend. But, blokes like Alex Wyzak back in the early 80s and 90s sort of thing, he just dominated ruck. He was 6'4", but he just grabbed the ball out of ruck and he put it in your back pocket for you sort of thing. There was a lot of players that I'd seen that could have made, VFL, AFL in them days. Now,
there's another important part of any good coaching structure, and that's the runner. How good a runner was Toothy Moore?
Who? I never seen him. He was too busy standing on the bloody boundary and talking to people. And I remember one game we were in a little bit of trouble and I was looking for him, and here he is in a car talking to a few of his mates sort of thing too. That's what you've done. It was either that or drinking a can of Coke or eating hot dogs. Look, he was a classic bloke for that club. He kept that club going. The Moore family really was very good at that club. But, geez, you could tell you a few stories about Toothy. He's a funny man.
Yeah, he's a funny man. But he's typical of that heart and soul that we're talking about that is the Anarchy Footballers Club. There's him and obviously Hoddy Gillett and others that were just the heart and soul of the community.
Look, you played for them blokes. Look, you just enjoyed. Look, they went to the club for nothing, and they just put in that much time and effort. Like Toothy used to drive everybody home. It was Saturday night. He'd go back out to the club and pick the rest of them up and bring them home, sort of thing. Without them blokes, I don't think Anarchy would have been around.
So as an AFL supporter of the Demons, who's the best player you've seen in your time watching footy, and who's the best current player that you see play, whether it's Melbourne or someone from the opposition at AFL level? Who is it?
Melbourne at the moment, I think this Petrarca's very good. I think the fitness, this Burgess has come in as the fitness advisor and just cleaned him up a little bit, and he's just playing, fantastic football. Best footballer I'd seen. Look, I was just like, I love Melbourne sort of thing. I was a Phil Carman fan. I just love watching Phil Carman play.
So did Phil Carman, I think.
The bloke that you would have seen a lot of, and I wished I'd seen more of, my favourite non-Geelong player of all time was Robert Flower, who was the exact opposite physical appearance to your good self. You would like Bobby Skilton. It's just a shame he didn't play more finals footy, just an out-and-out champion.
I watched his last year, Robbie Flower, was against North Melbourne at the MCG. Actually, he made finals sort of thing. He was class. There's a name I forgot sort of thing. He was just a brilliant player. He just ran on top of the ground. He was good left foot, right foot. He took a lot of bumps and everything, and he could mark. He kicked goals. He was a great player.
We can't go without talking about your cricket. We spend a lot of time on the footy. This is the GDFL segment, but being an old Southern District cricketer myself, I know that you've had incredible contributions to both the Anglesea and Barrable cricket clubs as well as other cricket clubs around Geelong. How important was the balance between the cricket and footy? Did you have a favourite between one and the other?
Look, it was the same old story. When footy was just about to finish, I couldn't wait for cricket, and vice versa. When cricket was finished, I couldn't wait for footy. But it was pretty tough times in a couple of times. You're coaching both and sort of thing, so a lot of them were running into each other. But look, I was just full on sport. I remember as a kid, like you'd go out in the street and there'd be three kids playing on the street. Next minute you'd have 23, and same as football sort of thing. So just absolutely loved sport sort of thing. And
you've got a bit of an interest in GDFL again, because I imagine it's correct that your son has been appointed coach of the Belmont Lions?
Yeah. He's pretty disappointed, actually. It was his first time, and he was really ready to go, and he had the blokes going not too bad. Actually, he was getting good numbers down there. I went down a couple of nights and had a bit of a look, but he's got it again for next year, and he's trying to recruit. He hasn't sat back and waited while COVID's taken over, sort of thing. So he's been ringing blokes left, right, and centre trying to recruit for next year. So I definitely will go and watch him play.
I was going to say there'll be a lot of old Geelong and District friendships rekindled. A few haven't seen you for a while. You only really appear at club reunions these days, but I imagine a few of the old legends will be seeing you around the traps in 2021 following your son, and that is great news for all of us. Bissett, thanks for your time. You are a true hallmark of Geelong sport. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll get to chat to you again in the future, and thanks for your time this morning.
Anytime, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Daryl. There he is, Daryl Bissett, GDFL legend. And, well, that will be 3 generations of the same family coaching in the local league.
You've been pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. His old man was a ripper, funny little fellow.